Hello, everybody. Welcome to our CakeFu Master Series. I'm Amelia Carbine, and I'm happy to have all you guys here today listening. I know that we have a lot of really uh, people that come on all the time, so our loyal listeners. So I'm happy that you guys are all here, and I actually know that a lot of people aren't able to come at this time and watch the training afterwards, and so thanks for catching the replay for those of you that will be listening later. Today we have a really wonderful guest. I'm really excited to have Mimi Fix here. She is an author and a longtime baker, cake decorator, businesswoman. She is very well educated on all things baking. And so we have her here today to talk about her life experiences and also to talk about making cake decorating into a really successful business. And I really am excited to have Mimi here today. So welcome, Mimi.
Hello, thank you for having me.
All right. Well, I'm so excited to have you here. Like I mentioned just a second ago, Mimi is an author. She has written 3 books. She has put out. Oh, you want to list off the books for me? I know that.
Okay, my first book, Start and Run a Home-Based Food Business, and that's specifically for the cottage food law, plus people who need to rent a commercial space. It's the business side of enjoying food, enjoying producing food. So it's a whole business aspect. And it can be a real shocker to people who really thought that having a bakery or a cake business was all about just baking a pan of brownies in their kitchen. My second book is the kitchen side of running an efficient baking business. It's everything you didn't know to ask about how to run a kitchen business in a smart way. All the things that I've learned combining my commercial experience, my retail experience, and my home baking experience. So that book has all of those pointers plus 100 recipes that were the best-selling recipes in my shops. And my last book, The Faux Pastry Chef, and faux because I am a self-made pastry chef. I never went to school. I learned on my own. So it's The Faux Pastry Chef, how I found my baking fix. And it's the story of how I ended up creating my business baking fix.
Great. Yeah, and we will talk more about your books throughout the training. And also, along with your books, you do consultations to up-and-coming businesses or businesses that might be struggling or just want that edge, on business. So, and just to let you guys all know, that's actually part of our giveaway today. Is Mimi is going to give away a free hour of her consultations. Her consultations are
okay, Amelia.
Yeah.
They pay for the consultation. They get a free book, either my second or my third book.
Yes, yeah, we're doing one free. Is that what we?
Oh, okay.
Is that? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right. So yes, we're doing one free consultation, and then we are also adding on, for those of you that don't happen to win this, Mimi is offering a really wonderful opportunity for all of you guys. Anybody who wants a consultation with Mimi will be able to order her consultation. It's $59, and she will be throwing in a signed copy of one of her books. And so this is a really great deal for you guys, and I think that it's a great opportunity for all of you guys that are running a business, starting a business, want to start a business, or even have a business that it always helps to get that leg up on things. So
okay, so one point to clarify, because I have 3 books. The free book would be either the second the Home Baking for Profit, or my third book, The Faux Pastry Chef.
Yes, and I believe we will let you um, as the guest decide which one of those two that you can have. Um, so yeah, let's talk a little bit about you first, Mimi, before we get into the training. Looks like you are married, have a son, or a daughter, stepson, and 4 grandchildren. That's
Yes.
pretty exciting.
Yes.
Do you get to live close to them, hopefully?
No,
Aw.
unfortunately, my stepson lives at 3.5 hours in one direction, and my daughter and her family, they live at 3.5 hours in the other direction. So we spend a
Wow.
lot of weekends away.
Well, but you know, to get to see them once in a while.
Oh, absolutely.
Great. And hopefully you know how to Skype with them and or something along the lines.
Right.
I know my kids love to Skype with their grandparents. It's a lot of fun. So, all right. And so as far as education goes, like you said, you were self-taught as far as the baking goes. You want to talk about your other educational background?
I have a bachelor's degree in journalism, in writing, and home economics. And then when I graduated college, I started a career as a social worker. And didn't last very long. Poor economic times, I was laid off. I was a single parent and unemployed. And I thought, well, I can make money baking out of my kitchen. And that's how I got started.
All right. And you went through the cottage laws that they have. I
Right.
know that a lot of the listeners out there have the cottage laws. Do you want to explain that to those who may have never heard of that?
Okay. More than half the states in the United States have what they call a cottage food law. Now, any of the states that have it write their own rules and regulations, but it means that people can, with either a permit or a license, bake from their home kitchens and sell their products. And New York started this cottage food law back in the early 1970s. And I got my permit back in the 1979. That's when I got my my permit to bake out of my house.
Great. All right. And if any of you guys are, doing baking from your homes, you really should have that cottage license. Look into the laws in your state. I guess you look through the agricultural department. But
Yes, it's almost always handled by the Department of Agriculture and Markets for your particular state. But, Google is our friend. So
yes.
anytime you have that kind of a question, you put your state, the home processor permit, cottage food law, you plug those into Google and the answer will almost always come up.
See, and you started all of this without the internet. How did you come about figuring everything out?
It was not easy. I asked a lot of questions, and I struggled a lot. I just kept practicing and practicing and practicing, and I learned as I went along. And there were a lot of people who helped me along the way.
Great. So you're very well versed in a lot of things because of all the things that you have done, and we'll talk about some of those things that you've learned: bookkeeping, like it says here, bookkeeping, labels, pricing, sales and marketing, customer service, and finding customers. These are all really crucial things in having a successful business. And that's one thing that you can really help out others through your consultations.
Right. One of the things I write in my first book, Start and Run a Home-Based Business, is that's the book I wish I had when I was starting out.
That's good. We all could use that. I think all of us have a little bit of that. Oh, I wish I'd have known this when I first started. So that's wonderful. All right, so let's start into our training, and I guess I'll just let you go ahead and take over from here, and we'll just talk through all of your slides and go from there.
Okay, now I'm not that technical. technical here. I see a slide on the bottom. I see the pictures that I sent, but I can't read the words on them.
Okay, you know what? If you click on that screen on the bottom, the one that has the words, it'll bring that up as your main screen.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Told you I wasn't that technical.
That's okay. Everyone else sees that main screen, but you do have to click on that. I did not mention that to you. Sorry.
Okay. So I've been in this business for many, many years, way more than 30 years. Okay. And I started in my kitchen. I moved on. At this point right now, I'm back in my kitchen. I have a home processor permit, but I spend most of my time either teaching. I teach in the local area colleges, and we have a culinary institute, and then at the Culinary Institute of America. And I do more writing, and I do a lot of consulting with people around the country when they have usually particular questions about how they want to proceed or some issues that come up. I do troubleshooting.
Great. Okay.
Oh, I got ahead of myself there. So I teach hands-on baking in a local culinary program. This is in the adult ed program, and a lot of the basic baking classes I teach. Bread, pie, cakes, cookies.
That's great. Okay.
This is me when I first started out. This was my very first farmer's market. And if you take a look at, that's me standing there. If you take a look at my table, you'll see that it doesn't appear that I know what I'm doing. I have everything just jammed together on one small table. And I learned over the years that having a really nice looking table display is very, very important.
That's good. That's good to know. These are all things that you have as information for other people. I think that's great. Okay. Sorry, I had to go between my screens.
Okay. I worked in my kitchen for about 2 years, and then I moved to a small neighborhood shop. I did that for almost 2 years, and then I moved into a larger shop. And the picture on the screen is the front of my bakery and cafe in central New York. The top part of the photo is a logo that I had created. And I have to apologize, I do not have a lot of photos from back then because we didn't have digital cameras. We didn't have all of the luxuries that we take for granted right now, like digital cameras and the internet and Google. So,
what made you decide to go to a bakery from your home? Did you feel like that was just the next step, or what motivated you?
I assumed that that was the next step for growth. Because I didn't have any business background, I did not understand that there were options for me. And I assumed that to make more money, I had to move into a retail space. One of the things I've learned over the years is that I made more money in my kitchen than I ever did from any of my retail stores.
Okay. Because, was it due to overhead? Is that?
It's two different things. One is the overhead, because when you have a shop, you have rent, you have utilities, you have employees, and one of the things about having employees is that there are a lot of security issues involved. So people believe, I'm trying to be a little tactful about how I say this. Unfortunately, I think that the majority of employees will help themselves to the business owner's goods and income. And it's very unfortunate, but that is just part of the business. So when you are looking to expand, take into account the that you can have in place to protect your business. So when I had a business, the bakery and cafe, for instance, I had 19 employees. And that's a lot of people to manage. And
It
that's a
is.
lot of mistakes that happen that cost you money. That's a lot of product that could potentially be walking out the door. Product and inventory, ingredients. So there are a lot of issues that come up when you're managing people. When I worked in my kitchen, essentially it was me.
Mhm.
So I was responsible for baking everything, and I was the only one who had access to all of my products and all of my ingredients. So there was really no loss on that end. And I think that's probably
Okay.
my new husband and I um, moved away from the snow and the cold of central New York, and we had foods, Little Debbie products. That was a dream job. I absolutely loved that. I was in there anytime sales and marketing had an idea for a product they wanted to sell, they asked me to create it.
Oh,
And
cool.
I worked there for about 2 years, and I absolutely loved that job.
So is there one product that you can say, hey, that was my idea, that was my thing?
Um,
That's really fun. I think that would be a fun job to have.
it was. It
And a
was.
lot of really great experience, I'm sure, business-wise.
Okay. Um, After I worked at McKee Foods, I moved to a job at Maytag Corporation in their R&D department. I was hired as a temporary to work on a special secret project. It was combining the speed of microwave and convection. And although in terms of Maytag, that product never worked out, and there are a lot of stories behind that. That is my first chapter in The Faux Pastry Chef. That didn't work out, but then they kept me on as a full-time permanent employee, and I got to test ovens. So I saw the other side of baking. Usually before then, I did a lot of tweaking with my products going into ovens. The ovens were the constant in what I was producing. But at Maytag, we used actually mixes because they had the same results no matter what you did. And then we tweaked the ovens around the constant product. So it wasn't a dream job in terms of being able to have creativity in baking, but I had a world of experience in working with appliances.
That's could really benefit from is that kind of knowledge. That's great. That's really great. Okay.
Okay, so now I really miss the hands-on baking. I miss the life of a pastry chef. I miss being in a retail bakery. I'm going to leave and I'm going to get a better job. So I took a job as executive pastry chef for a national market and bakery. This was in the DC area around Washington, DC. Um, it was quite an experience, and turned out that it wasn't the best experience. It showed me another side of the business world.
Okay, great. They look delicious, all those desserts.
Yeah. Okay, so I moved from there to a large hotel chain, a very upscale chain also in the DC area, and I was the only pastry chef for several hundred. It was a resident hotel, and it was a very hard job in terms of physical labor. I know most of us imagine that a pastry chef goes from one cake to another, and in this particular job, I did everything and I was the only person.
Oh,
So
wow.
as much as in a way, I really loved that job. I had total freedom. I had creativity. The only problem was I could have used a staff of at least 2 people. Okay. So I did that for a couple of years, and unfortunately, my body could not keep up. And I started having some physical pains, and I didn't pay attention to those. And what I would say to all of you out there is, this is the only body you have. And if you're physically feeling fine, that's great. If you start getting any particular issues, if your feet hurt a lot, if you have some problems with your back, if your hands start not holding up, you need to pay attention to that, because this is the only body you have. And I was young and I was stupid, and I kept pushing myself, thinking, oh, I'll tough it out. And I came down with a double dose of carpal tunnel syndrome. And I ended up with 5 hand surgeries, and that was the end of my commercial baking career.
You know, I think that as, you know, as cake decorators, that's really good advice, because we tend to, I know I do, and I know that a lot of my friends will post on Facebook about how, you know, they've stayed up for 48 hours and they haven't slept at all, and, you know, it just all of these, you know, we tend to put our physical well-being aside when it comes to doing, you know, our work. And so I think that's really good advice to really be thinking about that seriously. You do have to take your health into account.
Right.
So, all right.
Okay, so again, I'm sorry I don't have more pictures about what happened, but after I left my job, after I had my 5 hand surgeries, my husband and I moved back to New York. And I have to admit, I was very upset that I felt like I lost my total career. I identified myself as a pastry chef and a bakery business owner, and I didn't know how I was going to handle a career shift. I went back to school for a master's degree. I have a master's degree now in food studies and writing. And this was back in 2007, 2008, when the economy in our country was really taking a dive. So I had my master's, but there were no job possibilities. And my husband and I talked about this, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go back to my roots. I'm going to go back to what I know. And I got a permit to, under the New York cottage food law, to bake and sell from my kitchen. And amazingly, as I told people what I would be doing, people didn't ask me, oh, what are your products? What are you going to be selling? Where are you going to be selling? People almost invariably said to me, hey, I want to do that. How do you go about doing that? And that was what prompted me to write Start and Run a Home-Based Food Business.
Mm-hmm.
So that was published in 2009.
So this is your book, The Home-Based Food Business.
Yes.
Your first one.
Yes, this is my first book.
Okay. Great.
And the response has been overwhelming. There are so many people who need to create an income or just really enjoy being like a hobby baker and want to turn that into a business. And this book is almost everything you need to know to take your skill and turn it into a business, or how to create an income by starting a business and pulling up some of the skills that you might have.
You know, this kind of information is wonderful. I know that there's so many people out there that are the hobbyists. I have an echo going on, I'm sorry. But are hobbyists and want to make it a business, but just don't know how. So this is great information. Okay.
Okay, so when I wrote the book, I had a website put together to support my book. So I started this one in 2009. There's an extensive website, and you'll see on the menu, all the way on the left-hand side, the fix, that is my blog. And I post every 3 or 4 days. I do a lot of business issues. I talk about bakery tours because I still love going to bakeries. Going to bakeries is your market research. that's where you're going to learn a lot about what's out there and to help give you ideas for what you can do also.
Great. I have been on your website. The website there. And this is your blog?
This is my blog. And I just got a new blog. Behind the scenes are a lot of security issues with blogging. So we just put up a new blog over last weekend. If you go to my blog now, you'll find there's only one up there. It's the new one starting now. And there is an archive button on the right-hand side of this particular page at the top. It's a dark, like a brownish red button. And you can still access all of my old blogs from that button. And you do a search for like business or baking or recipes, and everything will come up.
Great. Awesome. Okay, for those of you that know, I've just been brought to, well, it's brought to my attention that there's the chat section on the side of the screen here on our training. If you click on that little chat box, you can chat amongst everybody. I think that not very many people are aware of that. So, and I apologize for this echo. Is that, I'm wondering if that's coming through your computer in your room?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't hear an echo.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Interesting. I wonder if it's on my end. See if I can get that worked out. Okay. Here you go.
Okay, these are a couple of pages from my blog. I actually, okay, there's consulting services, and I can't see what the bottom
is. Our
test kitchen, yes. Mm-hmm. I put this together a while ago, so I didn't remember. Okay, so there's a page on my blog for explaining about my consulting services, and my test kitchen. I absolutely adore doing that. I have clients who ask me to test recipes in their cookbooks, or I have a lot of home bakers and retail bakeries who have been going along using the same recipes, and they suddenly have problems with them. And they ask me to do some troubleshooting, and I work up their recipes, and I find where the issues are coming from and send them on their way. And almost always with testing recipes for troubleshooting, it's a different ingredient that they're using and they don't realize it.
Oh, okay. Great.
Okay, I teach now. This is from the Culinary Institute of America, and this particular class is the home baking for profit or pleasure.
Oh, that's a great class.
Yes, I teach during the fall and the spring semesters in 4 different local colleges.
Okay, so is this like an extra extension type of class, or is this for credits?
These are all non-credit.
Okay, great. So if you're in the Hyde Park, New York area, that's a great thing to do.
Okay, I created a class, Home Baking for Profit. I was teaching that, and I realized that that was another idea for a book. So I used my class notes to put together this book. And again, this is the hands-on kitchen side of running a home-based food business.
Great.
And then my most recent book, like I said before, it's the story of how I ended up creating Baking Fix. And it's also actually an inside look at what it's really like in the retail and commercial food world. What goes on behind the scenes?
You know, this would be a great book to read if you were interested in, you know, deciding whether you wanted to do something as far as a home-based business or a retail bakery or, you know, whatever. So, you know, this would be a really good one, and I'm sure you could get a lot of good information from it also.
Yes, Yes. I also I have a quirky sense of humor, and I insert that throughout the whole book. So
That's always a good thing.
yes, so it's a fun read too.
Good. All right.
Okay, when my Start and Run book was first published, I was interviewed in New York City for 2 different programs for ABC television. And that was quite an experience for me. I'm basically a really shy person. Even this interview isn't the easiest for me. So this is when I went to New York City, and I have a friend of mine. She's the oldest friend I have from high school, and you can see she's standing with me. And I don't know if you can see clearly, but that look on my face is, oh my gosh, I'm so glad this is over with.
I can see it. That's great to get that kind of recognition.
Yes, it was fun. And actually, while I was in New York City, I had a chance to do quite a few bakery tours. Bakery tours are probably my favorite thing to do. So in this photo, in the larger photo there, that's Magnolia Bakery in New York City.
Cool, I've heard of them.
I never miss an opportunity to go into a bakery.
Great. You know, I think that that's a really good thing. I think you should always go and try out the bakeries around you. Okay.
Okay, so I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years, and on this screen are some of my students who have gone on to open businesses of their own.
Very cool. So you wanna tell about their successes a little bit, or?
Okay, now the top right is Tommy Seamesh, and he actually bakes out of his small apartment-sized kitchen in Manhattan. He works under the cottage food law. Underneath that, Blue Ribbon Hearth, that's a woman who, Annie, who started out only doing artisan breads, and over time, because customers have asked her for more products, she's been adding on to her products. The lower left-hand side is Amber Spiegel of Sweet Ams. She is a premier cookie decorator, and she took one of my classes back in, I think it was 2009, and realized that for what she wanted to do, which was sell on the internet, that she couldn't have a cottage, she couldn't have her home processor permit. That's one of the things about the New York cottage food law. So she took what she learned in class and tweaked that into renting a small commercial space, and started her business, and she has a wonderful business right now.
Great.
And then actually Sugar Me Sweet Bakers in the top left-hand corner. That is another former student who wanted to confine her business to only cookies, brownies, and scones, and a few muffins. And she does a phenomenal business. She was in her home kitchen up until just last month, when she began renting a spot in a local deli, and she bakes and sells out of there with no restrictions now. Because she has a commercial license, she's able to make anything she wants from that space. So these are all people who actually have become near and dear to me. They're not just former students, I consider them friends.
Yeah, well, that is great that you can have that, rapport with the people that you are teaching. And I'm sure you stay connected with them and know about what's going on with them.
Yes.
And like you said with the cottage laws thing, I'm sure that, that's one downside of having cottage laws, is there are more restrictions than having that. a commercial kitchen?
You know, there are restrictions. However, I always say to my students, we need to thank New York State for allowing us the opportunity to have a business in our homes. And if we need to maybe not do some of the items that we had planned on doing, why don't we start with a small business? There's essentially no overhead when you're working out of your house. If you have no business experience, it's a great way to learn without the pressure of paying for that overhead. And then as you move along in your business, you can think about growing it, maybe moving to a commercial spot, but maybe with minimal expense, you start with the cottage food law and you realize having a business is not what you want to do. So your state will allow you the opportunity with little overhead to create an income.
Yeah. Well, you know, in the state of Nevada, where I am, the cottage laws are not in place. Not yet. We're working on it. So it is a very fortunate thing to have that. All right.
Okay. One of the side issues when I had my classes and students is I understand that it's really important when you're in business, whether you've been in business for years or you're first starting out, having a support system is very important. And I encourage the students in each of my classes to have contact with each other, to help support each other. And for whatever reason, they weren't able to do that. So my plan B was to start what I call the Hudson Valley Baking Society. And I contacted all of my former students and said, we're going to meet and we're going to talk about maybe having a regional baking club. And we found a home in a culinary school. And we started this about 2 years ago. And it's just made up of bakers who live in our area, who just really love to bake. And about half of them are home processors. So it's a support system for people who have a job or a business in the baking world, plus all the other hobby bakers around. Mm-hmm. And that's been a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think having someone to talk with about baking, you know, having your cake friends or your clubs to go to. There's always somebody around.
Okay, so as part of our baking society, our motto, which you saw on the previous screen, Baking a Difference in the Hudson Valley, we decided that we wanted to have bake sales to raise money for our regional food bank. And instead of individual members baking at home and donating it, we take advantage of the facility where we're housed. They have a wonderful kitchen there, and we bake together. So in the photos here, this was last Christmas, we made cookie trays, and then we sold them at an area supermarket, and we raised $1,200 for our regional food bank.
That's wonderful.
And I have to say, we had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, well, you know, if anyone has a baking society type of thing, or icy.
It's a great idea.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be. We'll have to talk about that some more.
Yes, we should. Yeah, so if you have a baking group, do great. Okay. Oh, and here's your recipe that you're going to share with us.
Okay. This chocolate cake is my all-time favorite recipe. This recipe is in my last book, The Faux Pastry Chef. It's a basic chocolate cake, really moist, with a ganache filling and a raspberry buttercream on the outside. And you can see the picture of the cake. It is not highly decorated. I am very limited with my hands, what I'm able to do. So it breaks my heart that I still can't do a lot of the fine decorating that I used to do. I supplement my decorating with, you can see those little cookies, colored cookies that I place on the outside.
That's very fun. Just a second. I'm going to try and mute you for a second so I can see if the echoing will go away. Give me just, I'll do. Okay, and I'll take you off in just a second. For those of you that are trying to scribble down this recipe really fast, just know that the recipe will be up on our blog later on today, and you might be able to find it on Mimi's website. Is this one up on your website, Mimi? Oh, hang on. Okay. Can you hear? Yeah. Can you say something? Oh, hang on. I'm sorry, I've muted Mimi now. Okay, can you say something now? Oh, I still can't hear you. Oh, I'm sorry guys, I screwed things up. Okay, let me see if... No. I can't seem to get you unmuted. Do you think that maybe you can try unmuting yourself, maybe? Will that work?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, great, great. Okay.
Okay.
If I can put this up on my website, it's going to take me a day or two, and I'll put it up.
Okay. And in the meantime, we'll have it on our blog, so you can go in. It doesn't have the directions in there, so. Okay, so Mimi, I'm going to put you on mute just so that I can talk about the giveaway.
Okay.
And if you want to jump in, you can just unmute yourself, apparently.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So for the giveaway, you guys, I am so excited about this giveaway. Mimi, I love the fact that she has a lot of good information, and she can help so many of you guys. Just to let you know about the giveaway, before we get to the question and answer, for those of you that came in late, we are going to be doing a giveaway with Mimi. She's going to be giving away 1 free hour of consultation to our winner, and this is a $59, almost $60, value. So this is a really awesome giveaway, something that you don't want to ignore. And for those of you that aren't going to be winning today, Mimi is going to be offering her class for it's $59 for an hour, per hour, and then she will also be giving away a signed copy of either her second or her third book. So that's her Baking for Profit, or I believe, and then also her faux pastry chef book that she has. So you can choose one of those two, and she will sign it and send it to you along with a consultation. So really great value for all of this stuff. And so before we get on to our question and answer, just to let you know about that. And down at the bottom of your screen, there's a question and answer, or I guess a ask a question part. Make sure you guys are asking your questions. I know we have a bunch already, but if you do have a question for Mimi, go ahead and type those in so that we can get as many questions as we can answer, and then we'll get to our awesome giveaway. Okay, so if you want to unmute yourself now, Mimi.
Okay. Sorry about that. Is the echo coming from me?
I believe it is, because when I muted you, the echo went away. So
okay.
It's technology. Okay, so as far as questions go, the first question is from Sarah Joyce. She says, can you suggest a bulk supplier who will sell the individuals starting out, or to individuals starting out? Because all the bulk suppliers I have found, which is not many, only sell to businesses.
That is standard in the industry. I suggest that you try to find some other people who can buy with you, or create relationships with businesses in your area. There are a lot of small businesses, small bakeries, small delis that mentor new businesses, and you might be able to tag on to their ordering. But it is very difficult when you're baking out of your house to buy from, you're talking about like Cisco or Dawn Foods or like Henry and Henry, those kinds of suppliers. And it is difficult without a retail or commercial address.
Okay. If you have like a cottage business, a licensed cottage business, can you use that? I'd imagine you could.
It would meet their requirement for being a legitimate business, because you would have a permit or license number, and then you could have a tax number. But for a lot of suppliers, it's the address where they won't drop off an order at a home address. They will only do that at a large retail or commercial spot.
Okay. All right. We have Rachel Solero. She asks, do you incorporate in order to avoid liability or people getting sick? And she also asked, what school do you teach the continuing education class?
Okay. I teach in New York, in the Hudson Valley. So there are some of the local community colleges and at the Culinary Institute. So I'm regionally located. For liability purposes, if you can incorporate to avoid any issues, that's fine, but that's costly. I would say that baked goods for health reasons are probably the lowest risk group that you could find for foods. You know, for farmers selling like produce, that's a much higher risk. If we remember, in not too long ago, we had all the problems with produce coming out of certain areas where they had salmonella and listeria. So the baked goods, just by the nature that they get baked, they're not as dangerous. But as my husband says, Sioux City isn't just in Iowa. And you do need to protect yourself. And sometimes just buying liability insurance is enough of a protection.
Yeah. I don't know if this helps, but when I had my cake decorating business in the state of Utah, I actually had an LLS. So I know that I felt like that was security for me, you know.
Yes, and that's an excellent suggestion.
Okay. All right. Okay, here's an interesting question. Amy Zoll asks, would having an education in culinary be helpful?
You mean having a degree in pastry art?
I'm assuming that that's what she's asking, if a culinary degree would be helpful.
Okay. It really depends upon how you see your career going along and your business going along. Getting a culinary degree means that you are trained in certain aspects. And again, every culinary school is different. If you're looking more towards the business end of it, you might want to pursue maybe a business degree or some classes in the business aspect. Accounting can be very, very helpful, marketing. So it depends upon each of you and how you see your career growing. I have to say there are a lot of very successful business owners, restaurateurs or bakery owners who are self-taught, and because they have the capacity for learning on their own? It's a very personal question.
All right, we have someone asking where they can buy your book and where in New York do you give your classes. I know that you answered the school question. Do you want to, I know that, let's also throw in there that if you do order a consultation through Mimi, you can actually get one of her books for free. So this is just today, you know, this is not a forever thing, but for the next, I think, 24 hours, we'll have that available to you. So if you don't get the opportunity to do that, where, Mimi, can you buy your books?
Okay, Amazon.com. That seems to be the go-to place these days for anything. So I have all three of my books are on Amazon. And I believe they're also at Barnes & Noble's.
Okay, great. Oh, here's a good question. We have Lisa Sealing. She asks, does one of your books contain information on kitchen and supply organization and bookkeeping? These are areas that are the biggest problems for me.
Okay. My first book, Start and Run a Home-Based Business, is about the business side of running a home-based food business. So bookkeeping is in there. It shows the low-tech way, and then you can do Excel, but all of that bookkeeping information is in Start and Run a Home-Based Food Business. The kitchen organizing part would be in my second book, Home Baking for Profit. That book tackles the hands-on kitchen side of running an efficient baking business.
Okay, so that one would be a good one to have.
Right.
Sounds great. For those of you that are wondering about, the Amazon, we actually can put up a link on our website later on today that will have that link to Amazon, so that you can just go straight to her books. So you can just get there from our website. In fact, I think I'll put it up with the recipes, so you guys can just go right on there. And also, I have been informed that the giveaway, or not the giveaway, the consultations that we're offering from Mimi through our website are limited to 30. So the first 30 people to order this will get the consultation with the free signed book. So make sure that you jump on that. Okay, let's see. Oh, here's one from Mary Thompson. She says, I'm interested in starting my own home-based bakery, but my husband is currently unemployed. How feasible is it to start your own business while working full-time?
I think it's very possible to start a small business while you're working full-time. Now, this would be for, is it Mary?
Mary Thompson.
Okay, so Mary's husband is unemployed and she's employed full-time. Am I getting this right?
That's what I'm assuming. Yeah.
Okay, so Mary wants to keep her full-time job and start a small home-based food business. Okay, that is very, very possible. A lot of my students and readers have done that. You just have to remember that you're one person. You keep your full-time job because that's steady income. That would be your health insurance probably. And then you would need to limit the kind of business you would create so that you're not working 24 hours a day.
Yeah. You really have to be organized, I guess.
Yes. But you have to remember that you would control the business. So if you're working full-time and say it looks like you're going to be successful and you have lots of orders, you have the ability to limit those orders. You say the words, thank you very much, but I can't do that right now.
That's a hard thing to say for some people.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But you got to learn how to say it. All right. Let's see. We have Roseanne asks, she says, I was not aware that New York State has a Cottage Food Act in place. Is it only for particular areas of New York State?
One of my pet peeves is that I see on many different websites that New York does not have a cottage food law, and that is not true. If you go to the Department of Agriculture and Markets in New York State, they have a home processor page on their website, and there are some limitations, but every cottage food law has certain limitations. So in New York, it's limited to non-hazardous baked goods, which would be any baked goods that do not need refrigeration. So you can sell cookies, brownies, breads, those kinds of items. And the selling venue is restricted. So retail sales, where you're selling directly to the customer, those sales are limited to agricultural venues such as farmers markets and green markets. The wholesale sales are not restricted at all. So in New York State, if you have the home processor permit, you can sell any of your products to a business that will then resell your products. So like all cottage food laws do.
Okay. Here's a really interesting question. Lucia Byers asks, as a cake shop owner in Maryland, and knowing here is strictly prohibited to have a home-based business, I am finding it really hard to keep my business alive with so much competition. Do you have any advice for me?
You need to think about the kinds of customers who will come to your shop. Think about the products that the home-based food processors are selling, and do your market research. Find products that those home processors are either not allowed to do based on the law in your state, or products that are not worth it for them to do. So if you've got, for instance, most of the new home processors who are selling cupcakes, don't focus on cupcakes, maybe focus on wedding cakes. You're going to have to, I hope you have a business plan. You need to go back and look at your business plan and plug that question in to your plan as to ways in which you can increase your business and not have the home processors competing with the types of products that you can sell.
Okay. Great information. Okay, and we have to do our last question because we're out of time. I know that there are a lot more, and I'm sorry that we didn't get to them. We have Jeremy ask. Oh, no, that wasn't a question. Okay, and it's our last one. Stacy asks, what is the number one tip? I'm sorry about that. What's the number one tip that you would give to someone? I know you have so many wonderful ones. You're a wealth of knowledge in this industry. Thank you.
You know what? I'd really like to squeeze a few tips in.
Okay.
Social media is very important. Facebook is important. However, if you have a business, you really need to have your own website, whether it's a blog or a full website, because Facebook gives you no control. You don't know what's going to happen with them tomorrow or the next day, and if you rely entirely on Facebook, they could take your business away from you. Mm-hmm. Have a business plan, very, very important. It does not need to be a business plan that you take to the bank. It needs to be a simple list of things that you need to look at and work on. And you can find blank business plans on the web, on Google, all right? You need to price your products. You must know what your products cost you, or you could be paying customers to buy your products. And last one, you need to be open-minded. you need to be creative, and you need to be able to take constructive criticism.
That is true. All right. Thank you so much for your wealth of information. I'm going to put you on mute for just another minute. If you do have something, you can, again, jump in.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry, I muted you already. I'm sorry. We'll have a chance to do our thank you in just a minute. I want to do the giveaway really fast for all of you guys that are anxiously awaiting your opportunity to spend a free hour with Mimi. And for those of you that don't win, I really encourage you guys to do this. I think that as cake decorators, we really, it would be to all of our advantage if all of us were to use this as, as either a launching point of our businesses or to boost our businesses. I think that we want to be the artists. We want to do the cakes. We want to, just get out there and do. And we have to realize that this is a business, and this is, it's something that we really have to consider all the aspects. And so I really encourage you guys to get more of Mimi's information. She really does have a huge wealth of information. And so yeah, I really do encourage that. And just, you can write it off at the end. It's tax deduction right there, or it's a business expense, and in the end, in the long run, it's going to save you money, make you money. It's so worth it. So again, I highly encourage it. All right, so for the giveaway, I want to have you guys down below, make sure it's not on the chat side, but down below in the question and answer box. I'm going to have you type in a word, and the fifth person that types it in is going to win. So the word is Mimi. Go. And I guess we'll find out in just a minute here who said it. We have a couple. Oh, there we go. It has to refresh really fast. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The winner is Shireen Vicente. I think that's how you say it. I hope I said that right. We will get you the information for Mimi. And again, for those of you that didn't win, make sure that you take advantage of this offer for Mimi. And, a signed copy of a book, that can't hurt. So, I did need to throw in one stipulation. Mimi can only send the books to United States. The overseas shipping, things like that, kind of get expensive. So if you're within the United States, that's the free book is what the offer is. But I'm sure, Mimi, that you would offer the consultation to anyone, regardless of where they live. Is that, I'm assuming that's correct?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Consultation anywhere.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So, and then the first. Oh, let me mute. So the first 30 people to go on and order this will get the free book signing and this offer. So jump on that if you can. I want to thank Mimi so much for coming. I thank you guys for listening. I hope that this helps you guys a little bit in your businesses. I know that, like I said earlier, we focus on the art side of things. We need to make the business side of things work for us, because we don't want to be working for free. We don't want to be losing out on money and opportunities. So yeah, I thank you very much. And I have you on mute, Mimi, if you'll unmute just to say goodbye to everybody.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I would like to thank you so much for the opportunity that you've offered all of your listeners to learn a little bit about the business side of running a profitable business.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, I think that this is something that everybody could benefit from. I'm really happy that you were willing to come on and talk to us today. All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. And thank you everybody that's listening, and I guess we'll see you next time. Bye.